All right, injuries for this practice. Aaron Banks is out. Trent Williams, ankle, won't practice. Ray is sick, won't practice. Drake Jackson, knee, will be limited. Everyone else full go.
I know Trent normally does the vet day on Wednesday. Do you expect him at practice tomorrow?
I hope so. I know he can't today, though.
Is there anything more? I think you initially said it was a low ankle sprain. Is there anything more going on with Trent's ankle?
Yeah, I think obviously there is. I mean, just when he's got a lot of history in there with stuff. It didn't show up as a high or anything like that, but when you've had that over your career, there's a number of things that, with how it's taken longer than expected to heal, it's more than a low. It's not
You've talked in the, oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead. I almost talked too much.
You've talked in the past about looking at each week as a one-game season, especially in the years where you guys had started a little slower. How important is this week to really keep that in mind?
I think it's important every week, but especially when you've lost 3 in a row, you got to get back to the part of that's all that ever matters. I mean, it's always a one-week season, and it's not about going on a run or anything like that. It's about trying to beat a really good football team this week.
How would your early impressions of Chase been, and how do you see him fitting in here right away?
I think he's going to jump in right away. First time we saw him was Monday. We had a small practice, and we'll see him out there today really for a real practice, and hopefully he'll pick up the stuff throughout the week and get to be out there a good bit on Sunday.
Your hope is to have a big role for him.
Yes, hope so.
I wanted to ask about Luter and Robert Beal, who had their practice windows open. What's the hope for them? I know that neither of them practice much in the summer.
That they can show they can help us. I mean, the little that they did practice this summer, we saw 2 really good players we're excited to have. They didn't get to go through a lot. They got hurt pretty early. But what we saw with them in college and what we saw in them in the first practices, we're really excited to get them back. They're healthy now. This will be their first time getting into football. But hopefully they can get a number of practices in just so they can get used to the NFL, how we do it. But they're guys that we're looking forward to being here.
Given that you thought they looked tired in the Bengal game, is there anything you can do to conserve energy with this team or things like that?
Yeah, definitely. Having a bye week really helps. We conserved a lot of energy.
Beyond that.
Yeah, you always do. Once you get through the halfway point of the year, I mean, we always change the reps up as we go. We change up walkthroughs as we go. Eventually, we change up our full speed stuff, which is coming real soon. So there's always an adjustment throughout the year. Sometimes you change it week to week based off how your team is, where they're at, but it's always evolving.
Back to what you said about a one-game season, as much as this is a veteran team and guys understand that, when things go so well as they did for 5 weeks, do you have to kind of remind everybody every week that you still have to show up every single week?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think you get reminded that almost every week in the league. I think we went a while without getting reminded that, which I think it's good to get reminded. But I always tell our guys, I mean, getting a pat on the back or getting hated on is all the same because none of it matters and both affect you. So you need to not let those help you or hurt you because they really have nothing to pertain with what we do on the field and things like that. So you always got to focus whether you've won 15 in a row or whether you've lost 3 in a row. Nothing changes. It's about how you play and the intent you play with and how well prepared you are.
You were doing some self-scouting last week during the bye week. What jumped out at you, I guess, offensively, either what you guys were doing or what defenses were doing to you?
I mean, it's everything. Defenses do everything, and we do everything. Each quarter's different. Each week's different. I think we've done a lot of good things, when you just look at it numbers-wise and stuff. But I think we got to really eliminate some of the times we kill ourselves. You don't ever want to take stuff away from other teams because other teams always make it harder. But I do feel the times we've struggled, we've just made some key mistakes that I think we're capable of not making. And I think we're the ones who have slowed ourselves down. I mean, I don't think when you look at how little we've punted and things like that, you should have points to match with that. And I don't think we have the last few weeks. We've got to get more points.
You mentioned how your team looked fatigued and slow after the Bengal game. Is it slow an off-season type thing? Is there any area on either side of the ball you can inject some speed before the off-season?
Do you have anything I can inject? I mean, that makes one person faster, but no, it's overall team speed, and it's not just one play. It's for an overall game. I think that happens to everyone through the season. I think it showed up more on our tape in Cincinnati than it had the other in a while, which was concerning. So I was glad for the break, but I also think the trip got to us a little bit. I mean, those are all reasons / excuses, which are the exact same thing to me. But yeah, our guys are a lot fresher right now. They look good to go, and hopefully we'll have a good week of practice, play the right way on Sunday, and keep it that way. You know, we got 3 games in 12 days, which doesn't help. So that's a little bit different. But look, and then you get 3 days off after that Thursday night game to kind of recover and get ready for the run.
You realistically get to practice 2-minute drills in late game situations where you're down a couple scores during the season. I know practice time is extremely limited.
Never. No one does. Yeah, you don't just say you're down 2 scores and just scrimmage, but everybody runs a 2-minute drill. We always run it on Wednesdays.
Has made a decision, or has Steve Wilkes made a decision where he's going to be game day?
And we're going to put him on the field this week. Something we've talked about for a little bit. I think there's pluses to it and minuses to it, but we'll see what we like about this week.
What is your personal feeling on it?
I love being in the box. I think that's the best spot. I feel like you guys would judge me too hard if I went up there. If it ever gets cold enough, I might be. I like a chair and a desk and a lot of stuff to write down and things like that. But you know, I had to do this for 9 years before I got here. I was only in the box 1 year, my last year, so I was 8 on the field before that. There's pluses and minuses to both, so you usually go with your preference.
What swung it? Why move Steve?
Just because of some of the stuff you do in the box, you know, all the advantages to it, which are great, but I kind of wanted to be down and be near our players a little bit. They've had that more just with the linebacker communication in the past, and I want him to be down there so he can talk to guys a little bit more.
Red zone scoring for you guys is up efficiency-wise, but for the league, it's down. Is there something happening league-wide, a tendency that you see?
Global warming. No, I see all that stuff random and everything. Even, I mean, the league always evolves. I think offenses have so many things that they do these days. Not just a couple teams or half the teams, all the teams. I think it makes defenses have to be a lot more sound, not take as many risks, and stuff gets tighter down there. And when you're not taking as many risks and you're extremely sound, there's not as many freebies. And if you try to make a living off throwing jump balls or just running into loaded boxes, that's really tough too. And then when you sit back and you drop back when people are being sound, there's 7 to 8 guys in a tight area, and there's only 3 to 5 offensive guys in a tight area. So I think defenses are getting better in that area, and offenses, they catch up, and you got to get creative, or you got to get guys who can run it in.
Since McCaffrey got here, Debo's production has been kind of off and on. A lot of it's injuries. What would it mean to get him back full strength and get them both going at the same time?
I think it'd be huge. I don't think we've really had that. You know, Christian came in the middle of last year. Debo was banged up throughout almost all last year and hasn't really had his exact role or been healthy since the year prior to that. And I thought Debo started out great this year with how healthy he was, how good he was playing. And then he got some bad injuries, which have kind of set him back. And I think he's about ready to get back out there full, and hopefully we can keep him that way.
How can Chase's relationship with Nick maybe benefit him, easing him into the transition like getting here? We saw him at Monday at practice. They're obviously friends, so how does that maybe help a player who's traded in the middle of the season?
I think anytime you go to a new place, that's always a little weird for people. Football players just like anybody else, and you want to go in there and meet everyone and stuff, but I think it's always nice to have someone you've known prior to kind of show you the ropes and understand who you are, let other guys know, and it's just an easier transition for people.
How does Trevor Lawrence look compared to the guy you prepared for the last time you played him?
I mean, very similar. I mean, I think Trevor is one of the more talented quarterbacks in this league. He's a problem at any time. He's the height he has, the size he has in that pocket. He can make any throw, and what he can do with his legs on any type of play, whether it's a design run for him or just getting out of the pocket and doing off-schedule stuff. He's always a problem.
When you see with Caldwell's defense, they held Pittsburgh to 260 yards or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's the best. I mean, them and Cleveland are definitely the best 2 defenses we played this year. I think they're playing at an extremely high level. They're not giving up yards. They're one of the hardest teams in the league to run the ball against. I think they're number 1 in getting turnovers. I think they're number 3 in giving up explosives. So they're a bend but don't break defense because they're not giving up explosives, and it's really tough to run the ball against them. And they lead the league in turnovers, so it's not a surprise they've won 5 in a row. All right, thanks, guys.